All right, folks, this is Harris Sultan, the ex-Muslim atheist, and welcome to another episode of Sultan's House of Sin. Right. So let's get on to the biggest news story of today, and that is what's been happening in Paris. So I've got a detailed report. So most of you who've been following what's been happening in France is this. We know that a teacher was beheaded by an Islamist terrorist, a Chechen Islamist, and French president said, "Okay, this is Islamic terrorism." He didn't mince his words. He went after it, and he called it what it is. This is the French teacher, high school teacher, who was beheaded for showing the cartoons of Muhammad. And this actually incident happened 2 weeks after when a Pakistani terrorist did the similar thing in France, in Paris, where this silly man went to the old offices of Charlie Hebdo and stabbed with a meat cleaver some random human beings, random French people. So what we know in the aftermath of this event, French people have stood up. They have come out in huge numbers and they have demanded action. They have demanded action against radical Islam. This is a news story that confirms that thousands gathered in and around Paris Palace de la République, some holding signs showing the front page of Charlie Hebdo. Now, the interesting development now that we know is that there are two central characters. Number one is obviously this Chechen terrorist, this guy. And number two is this guy. Now, this guy was the father of a student who was present in the classroom of Samuel Paty when he showed the cartoons. Samuel Paty actually told people, told his students that I'm going to show you some cartoons of Muhammad. It is a French, as a commitment to freedom of expression, because France is very different from other countries. Republic, the word republic, that is now in a common vocabulary, which is a word synonymous with secularism, is invented by France. So they view secularism, freedom of expression, separation of church and state, or religion and state, very seriously. So he showed it and he said that if you are a Muslim child, you can leave the classroom. However, one silly child accidentally stayed behind. And, you know, he wasn't getting very smart genes from this guy, because this guy, it happened to be obviously the child of this guy. He got offended, told his father, and his father, now we know, exchanged text messages with the killer, who's this guy. So we know that. The father of the pupil is reported to have exchanged a number of text messages with Mr. Paty's killer prior to the attack, close to the teacher's school in Conflans-Saint-Honorine. So now we have the actual link between this moderate Muslim with a radical Muslim. 6 people have now been released after questioning, including the killer's grandfather, parents, and 17-year-old brother. 4 school students were also detained for questioning. But however, they still were at the time of this report. I don't know if they've been released. Now, imagine the kids, 12, 13-year-old kids being detained for questioning. Why that is? Because there was a survey done, and 29% of Muslim respondents told a recent poll that Islam was incompatible with the values of the French Republic, which is true. A sharp increase over the past few years. And among those under 25, the figure was much higher. So younger people now, younger Muslims believe that Islam is incompatible with French values. The number of people who think violence is justified in response to cartoons of Muhammad is very small. Okay, that's good. But teachers, however, in some areas say that view is growing among their pupils. So the young students, young kids, that view is growing amongst young people. And you know, even though there was 4 school students are believed to remain in detention. So you can work it out. France has, in the aftermath of that, obviously, France has ordered the temporary closure of a mosque outside Paris on Tuesday, part of a crackdown on Muslims who incite hatred after the decapitation of a teacher who showed his class caricatures of Prophet Muhammad. Emmanuel Macron said there's an enemy within ourselves. We need to sort them out, etc., etc. Now the rectum of the Grand Mosque of Panin, Muhammad Hinichi, this weekend expressed regret over sharing a video on social media after it emerged Paddy had become a victim of a vicious online campaign of intimidation even before he was killed. The student's father is now in police custody. So now this is the guy who made a video, and he actually shared that on the Facebook page of this mosque, on the official Facebook page of the mosque, which was viewed by this radical, and we all know what happened afterwards. So these guys are responsible. So this is actually the classic case of dog whistling. So there are some Muslims who try to look for addresses of people like us. They don't have the balls to come after and do anything themselves. But what they do is they will release the information, hoping that some crazy fanatic like this guy would come and sort us out. My address was once actually leaked as well, but however, those idiots didn't realize that wasn't my address. It was some random person's address, but they thought it was mine. But they just put it up on the internet, hoping that someone will sort me out. That's the game that they play. So people like this guy incite hatred under the garb of being a moderate Muslim. He made some inflammatory speeches like, "Oh, stay away from our kids, don't touch our kids." Nobody's touching your kids, but he, tried to be, "Oh, look, we're peacefully protesting." But no, he incited. He said that Samuel Paty should be punished. They uploaded the video on the Facebook page of the mosque. Obviously, all the people who like that Facebook page, they are going to watch it. And one of them turned out to be this guy. And he did what he did. But look what happened. The imam of the mosque would have known that, okay, we're going to upload this video. He knew about it. But when they got caught, look what they said. "Oh, there's no room for violence in our religion," the mosque said in a statement published on Facebook on Monday. "We strongly condemn this savagery." And he also said that we regret showing the video. When he was uploading the video, he didn't realize it. I know. Do you have to be an Einstein to work out that if you release the address or the whereabouts of someone like me, for instance, what do you think is going to happen? Some jihadi is going to come after me. You have to be really a world-class stupid to realize, to think that, okay, nothing's going to happen if I just put up his address. So these guys put out the video detailing what Samuel Paty did, detailing where he works, and said that he should be punished. And the imam put up the video. And as a result, the mosque has been closed down, and I think more mosques will be shut down. And that would be a good thing. Now, in the Financial Times article, the President Emmanuel Macron government has launched a crackdown on Islamists in France after the decapitation of a history teacher by a Chechen Muslim refugee, questioning dozens of militants suspected of promoting violence and announcing plans to ban radical organizations. Now, the Interior Minister said on Monday he would propose a ban on several organizations deemed separatist for seeking to bypass the secular institutions of the French Republic, including the Collective Against Islamophobia in France and a humanitarian aid group called Baraka City. Look at the names of these organizations: Collective Against Islamophobia in France and a humanitarian aid group called Baraka City. That's how they fool you people. They name their organizations, "Oh, Islamophobia." This is why we hate the term Islamophobia. But inside, behind the faces behind these organizations are radical extremists. They say that, "Oh, there's Islamophobia, people hate West, and we're fighting against that. We are liberals." That these people are not liberals. These people are radicals behind that. And then they call their organizations humanitarian organizations, like that Baraka City. And obviously, they've been caught out and they've been banned, and more will follow. So France is doing pretty good work. Now, the interesting part that came out of that is France is probably the only Western country right now that where left and the right is seeming to unite against radical Islam. We don't find such kind of unity anywhere else in the world. Now, this guy, extreme left, La France Insoumise, sorry, I'm really sorry for my bad pronunciation, which means France Unbowed Party, which is a far left party who has, so this guy, Jean-Luc Mélenchon, who's been accused of being an Islamo-leftist, or person who's been who's been one of those far leftists who say all the nice things about Islamic fascism and try to water down radical Islam. So he's been accused of being an Islamic apologist. He also himself said that the Chechen immigrant community should be targeted now. Now, politicians from the center right and the far right spoke of the war between Islamists and the state. Marine Le Pen, leader of the extreme right Rassemblement National, and that's a right-wing party anyway. So the good thing out of that is the far left is also now recognizing that this is a problem and we need to unite. And people don't realize Emmanuel Macron actually himself was a liberal. He was a he was a center of the left. Now why is he acting out so much? Because it's in French DNA. Secularism is in French DNA. And I hope that the rest of the Western countries follow suit. Now, have a look at the stark contrast between two cultures. So this is, as we know, this is the guy who's been shot dead after he beheaded the French teacher Samuel Paty, this terrorist. And look how Muslims are celebrating. Look what they're saying. You have achieved already what you were in this materialistic world for. Real lover of the Prophet. Lion born in Chechnya only. Hats off, legend, bro. Hats off to this legend. I can only say Mujahid, meaning the brave one. I salute you. You have achieved already what you... Okay, so this is the same one. The next one. Chechnya has... This guy can't even spell Chechnya. Chechnya has produced lots of warriors like this from mid-after independent country. I don't know what he's talking about. Their wars had a unique quota full of courage. Okay, I guess you get what he's trying to say. Even with his bad English. Perfect ummati of Prophet Muhammad, meaning perfect, the perfect follower of the Prophet. Pillar of paradise, salute to you. So there are, on this page, you can go and see thousands of comments, hundreds of comments by Muslims who are actually praising this guy, this murderer, this terrorist. Now, I don't... Oh, actually, sorry, let me share that with you as well. So as a result of this, because of all this hoo-ha, we knew that... I'll just give you one example. In Pakistan, for instance, they never showed when this guy actually... When Pakistani citizen, this guy, went on and stabbed some French citizens randomly. They never reported that in the news media, but they always report that, oh, France has banned the hijab in government buildings. Oh, Islamophobia rising in France. They always talk about that. And now they didn't report on this, but what they're reporting in Muslim countries is that the crackdown Emmanuel Macron is now leading on Islamists, on radical Islamists. So the poster boy of the Islamic Ummah, Erdogan, he said that Emmanuel Macron needs he needs a mental health checkup or something. So France condemns unacceptable comments from Turkey's Erdogan and recalls ambassador. So that's a new development. That France has asked his ambassador to come home after this new radical Islamist at the helm of Turkey, Erdogan, is trying to be a champion of Islam again. Now, unlike Muslims, I'm not going to make excuses for those who, for whenever violence happens. I'm not going to say, well, what happened to Samuel Paty was wrong, but he shouldn't have shown the cartoons. I wouldn't show that, but I will unequivocally condemn violence wherever I see it. As a result, we know that these kind of behaviors, even though we know that these kind of behaviors from certain radical Muslims will contribute towards hatred for Muslims. It's just bound to happen. However, that's not right. However people respond. So recently, two Muslim women are stabbed under the Eiffel Tower by white female attackers shouting "dirty Arabs" after Arab argument about dogs amid rising tensions after teacher was beheaded for Muhammad cartoon. So that is just wrong. It shouldn't have happened. And we know that these kind of things will happen more and more. And this is why I always condemn. I ask them modern Muslims, progressive Muslims, to come out and not idolize people like this guy, but actually condemn these people. As a result, there's actually one imam, I forgot what his name was, one imam in France said that France has a right to show these cartoons of Muhammad, and no one should be killed. So now that is the kind of attitude we need from Muslims, but I don't know how long his lifespan would be now, given that he said it. As a result of this, because we know that when these kind of things happen, we have to normalize it. And for the first time, a major Western government has actually officially shown the cartoons of Muhammad, and that is obviously France. France is the one that is showing bowls. So they've shown the cartoons of Muhammad on government buildings, billboards across on the streets. They also put in the token Charlie Hebdo cartoons mocking priests and rabbis as well. But this was, we all know, this was the main target. Muhammad. Now, this is the government's building, Montpellier government building. And that is just to show solidarity with Samuel Paty. If these Islamists think that they can silence freedom of speech, they can make the Western liberal values, they can make them go away by randomly killing innocent civilians, well, they need to think again. So that was basically what happened in France, and I gave you as much information as I could. To help me produce more videos like these, support me on Patreon or PayPal.